Chapter 1: The Forgotten Box. On a sweltering August afternoon in the quiet town of Westport, Connecticut, a house-cleaning crew stumbled upon an old, dust-covered box tucked beneath a false floorboard in the attic of 74 Maple Drive. The house had belonged to a reclusive man named Gerald Whitmore, who had died 2 weeks earlier from an apparent heart attack. With no known family or will, the state took custody of the estate. But what the crew found wasn't a box of photos, old coins, or love letters. Inside was a leather-bound journal, wrapped in butcher paper and sealed with electrical tape. Scribbled across the top in faded red ink were 4 chilling words. Do not read. Confess. Curiosity overruled caution. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss any of our true crime stories. Chapter 2: A Mind Unraveled. Detective Elena Cruz was called to the scene within an hour. She had been with the Westport Police Department for over 15 years, but this case, this journal, sent a chill down her spine the moment she held it. The paper crackled under her gloves. The leather cover was smooth but aged, and the penmanship inside was both elegant and erratic. The first page read like a confession. My name is Gerald Whitmore. I've killed 17 people, and I need you to know why. What followed wasn't a series of random thoughts. It was methodical, deliberate entries cataloged by date, victim, and method. Like a trophy shelf of horrors, it detailed a decade-long killing spree that no one had suspected until now. Chapter 3: The First Body. The diary opened in the summer of 2008. The first entry described a woman named Denise Caldwell, a substitute teacher who had gone missing after a yoga class in nearby Stamford. She looked like she didn't belong in this world, the entry read. Too perfect. Too soft. I followed her for a week. She never noticed. The journal outlined the time of day he approached her, the weapon he used, a weighted rope, and even how he buried her in a wooded area behind an abandoned gas station near I-95. Elena's first move was to contact the Stamford PD. Denise Caldwell's case was still open, labeled of missing adult, presumed dead. She and her team visited the location specified in the journal. What they found confirmed their darkest suspicions. Denise's remains were there, exactly where Gerald said they'd be. Chapter 4: Patterns in the Madness. The investigation exploded overnight. The FBI joined the case, and forensic teams were assigned to cross-check the remaining 16 diary entries. With each victim, Gerald had included names, dates, locations, and details that could not have been fabricated. Victim number 3, Jared Holmes, disappeared after leaving a bar in Bridgeport in 2009. Found in an abandoned well 3 miles from where his car had been recovered. Victim number 7, Lorna Eames, a hitchhiker last seen in New Jersey, buried beneath a collapsed boathouse in Tarrytown. The diary wasn't just a confession, it was a roadmap of murder. But what terrified Detective Cruz the most wasn't just the accuracy. It was the tone. Gerald didn't sound remorseful. He sounded proud. Chapter 5: The Psychologist's Verdict. Enter Dr. Marcus Bellamy, a forensic psychologist specializing in criminal profiling. After spending 3 days reading the journal cover to cover, he gave the team a haunting assessment. He's not insane in the clinical sense. Gerald Whitmore was fully aware of his actions. What's disturbing is his intellectualization of murder. He sees it as art, comparing it to music composition, painting, even architecture. Bellamy pointed out recurring phrases in the journal like the symmetry of silence and the architecture of fear. Gerald wasn't driven by rage or revenge. He was building a narrative, documenting a dark opera in which he played the conductor. Chapter 6: The Survivor. 10 days into the investigation, a new lead emerged, one not from the journal, but from the past. A woman named Hannah Lee came forward after recognizing Gerald's photo in a news broadcast. Her voice trembled as she recalled her story to Detective Cruz. It was fall, 2013. I was driving back from a friend's wedding when I got a flat tire near Darien. A man pulled over, offered to help. Said his name was Rick. He had tools, a smile, but something was wrong. He stared too long. Asked questions that didn't feel right. She escaped when another car approached. Gerald, or Rick, disappeared into the woods before she could get a plate number. Though she had reported it, the case went cold. But she remembered his eyes. Cold. Curious. Calculated. Her story matched an entry in the journal labeled The Unfinished One. Chapter 7, Why He Wrote It. As the case garnered national attention, the biggest question loomed: why would a killer document his crimes so meticulously and leave it to be found? A late journal entry gave a haunting clue. You read this now, not because I was caught, but because I allowed you to see. I am the architect, and even death answers to me. The world will know the name Gerald Whitmore, not from arrest, but from awe. Dr. Bellamy theorized it was legacy. Gerald had lived his entire life in the shadows, an orphan with no ties, a quiet existence, an average face no one remembered. But through this journal, he would finally be seen. Immortality through infamy. Chapter 8, The Burning Clue. While scanning the final pages of the diary, Elena noticed a symbol drawn repeatedly, an hourglass with a crack down the center. It seemed out of place among the otherwise polished writing. One passage mentioned the final chapter awaiting fire. The team interpreted this as a clue. A search of Gerald's home uncovered a secret compartment in the fireplace chimney. Inside were charred remains, photographs, newspaper clippings, even trophies, a hairbrush, a cracked phone case, a wedding ring. One item stood out, a child's drawing. In the corner was the same hourglass symbol. Dr. Bellamy had a disturbing theory: Gerald may have started killing long before 2008. The diary only covered a curated selection, his favorites. Chapter 9, The Lost Years. FBI analysts traced Gerald's movements back to the early 90s. He had worked a string of jobs across state lines: landscaper, security guard, janitor. Each location correlated with unsolved disappearances, many involving transient or vulnerable individuals. Though evidence was circumstantial, the pattern was undeniable. The real victim count could be as high as 30. He gave us 17 names, Elena whispered to her captain, but what if that's just the beginning? Chapter 10, A Copycat Emerges. 6 months after Gerald's death and the journal's discovery, police in upstate New York found a woman murdered in a style eerily similar to Gerald's documented methods. Weighted rope. Duct tape. Burial site with symmetrical stone placement. Next to the grave was a note. I continued the architecture. He showed the way. The media dubbed the new killer The Apprentice. Elena feared the diary had done more than document history, it had inspired a future. Chapter 11, One Final Page. Weeks later, while cataloging evidence, a young intern found something odd. The journal had a false back cover. Hidden inside was one final page. Unlike the rest, it wasn't typed or neatly written. It was scrawled in shaky ink. If they find this, tell them I lied. Not all are dead. One is watching. One remembers. And one became me. The room fell silent. Who was Gerald talking about? Had he trained someone? Or was this one last mind game? Elena looked out the window of the evidence room that night, unable to shake the feeling that someone, somewhere, was watching. Epilogue, The Diary's Legacy. Today, the Diary of Death sits in a secure FBI vault, locked behind biometric access and motion-triggered surveillance. Its contents have been analyzed, debated, and even banned from public release. But among law enforcement circles, it remains a chilling lesson: evil doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers in beautiful penmanship on old leather pages left behind for someone to find. And when it whispers, it's not always finished. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss any of our true crime stories.